Okay, so today I'm gonna be making pumpkin bread. If you like the ones from Starbucks, you're gonna love this one. I tweaked the recipe a little bit, and it's very easy. You just need 2 bowls and flour, some pumpkin, some spices, and an hour and a half in the oven, and you're done. So first we need 2.5 cups of flour. And I like to sift my flour because I have them in a bag, and they're kind of like don't have any air in it. And if you sift it, it's like the bread is much softer. So I'm just trying to measuring out my flour. 2.5 cups of flour over here, and this is my little sifter. You use a knife to level the flour out, scoop and level. So with the sifting, I sift flour for all my baked goods. I find that the outcome is much lighter, and there is really not that much work to it. And this is an Arrowhead organic all-purpose flour. It's the only one that I could find during the pandemic in the supermarket. I guess everybody is baking right now. So after I measure out the flour, I'm gonna go ahead and measure out some baking powder. Here's the baking powder. Is a teaspoon of baking powder. Here in this recipe, we're gonna use 2 leavening properties, baking powder and baking soda. So first is baking powder. And then it's half a teaspoon of baking soda. So they said to always check your baking soda and see how long it has been in your pantry. So I think they can be kept for 3 months. Now here comes the fun part: sifting the flour. And I've got some boba tea. It's lychee black tea with boba in it. I love it. This boba tea is so good. So back to sifting. Okay, so it's all sifted. Now I'm gonna go get some salt. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, but I don't want to put that much salt in it. Not that you can taste it, but I have high blood pressure and I'm not supposed to eat that much salt. So I'm only putting half a teaspoon in it. I've made this before with only half a teaspoon of salt, and it tastes the same. And then 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. So the end product of this pumpkin bread, it tastes so much like Thanksgiving. When you have like pumpkin pie, you have all these spices, it's so good. So half a teaspoon of measuring, this is 1 teaspoon, 1.5, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And when it was baking in my oven before, it was smelling so good. Okay, now nutmeg. You can use fresh ground nutmeg. I couldn't find any nutmeg to ground freshly, so this is what I have to use. It's half a teaspoon. I heard that it's really good to ground your own nutmeg, but I could never find it. And then 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves. Just have to use a tiny little bit because it's really strong. I'm using my 1/4 teaspoon. I measure it half, and it's 1/8. Now I'm gonna just stir them around and making sure that everything is incorporated. Sometimes I like to put some ground black pepper in my cookies and my bread so that it tastes a little bit warm. But I'm gonna use ginger in this recipe, so I don't want the black pepper overpowering the ginger. Okay, now to the wet ingredient. Now let me put this back into the fridge. Okay, now you put in the wet ingredients. 1 can of pumpkin, which is 15 ounces. Yeah, I speeded up this segment because I was taking a long time to get all the pumpkin out of the can. And then 2 eggs. Whisk them together. And then we're gonna grate some fresh ginger. You need 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of grated ginger. I'm not measuring out here because I kind of know how much it's gonna be for 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. I love ginger. I use ginger in almost all my cooking. You know, there's a lot of ginger being used in Chinese recipes. So even if it's a little bit more, I'm okay with it. So keep grating your ginger. So at this point I was thinking, I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, I know what I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting sugar. So I'm grating my ginger. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put in sugar next, There has been times that I forgot to put sugar into a cookie or a cake, and yeah, that happened before. So making sure that you got everything, got all the ginger out. Yeah, here I was trying to get the last little piece out. Yeah, no, this is okay. Okay, here comes the sugar. You're gonna, the recipe calls for 1.5 cups plus 1 tablespoon. That's too sweet for me, so I'm only gonna put in 1 cup of sugar. To me, it still tastes very, very, very good. I think this is my go-to recipe when I want to make like a loaf of bread. Carrot bread, like carrot cake, it's just a lot of work and kind of greasy. Banana bread is good, but it doesn't have any flavor to it, I feel like. And all you taste is sweetness and a walnut. But this pumpkin bread there's so much flavor. And then another flavor, extra virgin olive oil. I use extra virgin olive oil because it almost makes it taste savory. And has just tons more flavor than butter. So I'm gonna put in 1 cup of olive oil. You gotta keep drizzle the oil into the wet ingredients and whisk it at the same time to emulsify the wet ingredients. Gonna need some forearm strength here. There's a lot of whisking. So it looks pretty good. Looks like everything is combined. Okay, we're done with the whisk. And we're done with the olive oil. Okay, so I prepped the pan. You need to grease the pan and put your parchment paper in it with the sleeves hanging out like that on both sides so that you can lift up your bread. And you're gonna put in the flour, in 3 different sessions. Just wanted to make sure that you've got all your flour mixed in with the wet ingredients. Mix it until you don't see any more white streaks. That's your indication that you can put in some more. Oh, it smells so good at this point. It really was smelling like Thanksgiving. But I think I like this way better than pumpkin pie, because the custard pumpkin pie is kind of like, I want to say, on the heavier side. And this is nice. This is good. And then the last batch of the flour. So at this point, the recipe calls for putting in some walnuts. I don't have any on hand, so I didn't put in any. You can put in pumpkin seeds. You can put in nuts, almonds, or walnut. Whatever you have on hand, you can put it in. I don't have any. And you can decorate it when you put it in the pan. After you smooth out the whole thing, you can put on some pumpkin seeds on top and make it really, really pretty. So yeah, just keep mixing until you don't see any more flour pockets. So this is a real-time video, so from the start to me putting it in the oven, it took 19 minutes. So this is really, really fast. And at this point, you should have your oven preheated to 325 Fahrenheit. So it's ready to be poured into the pan. So this is kind of a big batch of bread, so you need a lot more time in a lower temperature oven. So this will take an hour and a half to bake, but the prep time is only 20 minutes. Okay, looks like it's almost done. Just smooth out the top. And like I said, if you have pumpkin seeds, you can sprinkle it on top of this bread. make it look pretty, but pound it on the counter for a few times. So this is 325 degrees oven. Now it's time to put it in. Bye-bye. See you later. Okay, well, the magic of editing. Now the bread is ready after an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes. Depending on your oven, it's about 80 to 90 minutes. I always try to make it a little bit longer, you know, and I use a chopstick to test it out to see if it's done. Oh yeah, it's done. It comes out so clean. And now I'm gonna cut it after it's been cooled down on my rack. That's my rack over there. It's like a Chinese kind of rack. That tiny little piece tastes so good. Okay. When I said cool down, it's really still kind of steaming. I gotta tell you, it was smelling so good. And if you want, you can put some butter on it. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.